Welcome back to My Best Friends and Engineer. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Libby.
And today we are filming this episode in the middle of July, so we thought what better topic to talk about than how to enjoy your summer, whether you're in engineering school or you're working an engineering job.
Yes, I feel like this is a good topic for like right in the middle of summer, because if you are working, I don't know, it can feel depressing when you have to sit inside of an office all day long and use like 90% of your brain power while it's so beautiful outside. So I think this would be a good topic today.
Yes, I'm super excited to get into it because I remember when I was in the office, like I was like, right now I'm so grateful to be remote, but I have so many little tips just to make like the day go by faster when you're in an office. So
yes, and then we are going to split up the episodes. So I don't know if you mentioned this, Lexi. I have short-term memory loss, I swear. But the first part of the episode is going to be talking about like how to cope with or what to do in your summers for each year in school. And then the second part of the episode will get into like our tips for how to enjoy your summer while working in corporate. So before we get into it, let's do our Tea of the Week segment. So Lexi, how has your week been?
So my week has been okay. So for the listeners, it's Tuesday. So I started this thing where I want to try not to drink coffee. And Libby knows that I drink so much coffee. Oh, did I just freeze a little bit?
Oh, you cut out. Wait, just start over.
Okay. So for our listeners, it is Tuesday, so not too far into the week, but I am starting this thing just randomly. I don't know why I decided this. I don't want to drink coffee anymore because we're going on our little trip, like our little road trip next week. And I was like, oh, it'd be so good if I just like, that was a good detox, detox time. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start it now. I have been so tired.
Oh God. I don't know how you're doing it.
Libby knows how much coffee I need. Like, I think I was averaging like 3 or 4 cups, which is terrible.
You drink so much coffee.
I don't condone that. Yeah, and I just like, even before my workouts, I have a little Celsius that would get me going. No, I'm trying to not do that, but I have been so tired, and I was like wondering, like, would people be able to tell while we're talking? And I was like, okay, no, I feel like whenever we talk, I get like a little adrenaline, like, I don't know, I feel like it's fun to talk on these episodes, but I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should have a coffee before, but I did not, so we'll see how it goes. But other than that, yeah, just very chill. I am working a little bit more this week just to get in a good place for next week and like coming back from PTO. This is my first time taking such a large amount of PTO. I took 5 days.
Yeah, so tell us, what are you going to be doing on your 5 days of PTO next week?
Yes, so Joey and I were driving to Yellowstone with my family. He entered the family trip.
Oh!
I know, he entered the family trip.
He's entering.
So we'll be in one car, and then my parents and my sister will be in another car. But the nice part is that he has a company car. So
right.
He's like, oh, we can take... He's like, oh, we can just take my car, and then we don't have to up the mileage on anything else. I was like, oh my God, love. It's like, yeah, that'd be
hacker
awesome.
himself.
Yes, so we'll be doing that. We're driving Friday. We're leaving like 3 p.m., so I'll be working in the car for the last 2 hours, so I hope no random meetings are set. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we're going to go there, stop at a few places. On the way back, we're going to go to Mount Rushmore and just try to have a nice, wholesome trip. So I'm excited.
That's so wholesome.
Yes, so we'll see. But I've been so scared because I've been seeing, it's like my phone knows I'm going to Yellowstone because all these articles keep popping up, like, woman got gored by bison.
Oh God. Block those notifications. We don't need that energy in our life.
And even Joey, it's funny because even Joey's just like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, like, hike too much. And I was like, okay, well, for there, we have to. But I'm like, I don't know. So we'll see. But I'll keep you guys updated if we see any animals next week.
I feel like that is such like a traditional like American summer vacation, like going to Yellowstone, going to Mount Rushmore, like seeing the sights.
I know, I'm excited. My parents are going for 2 weeks, but I didn't want to take that much off of work, and I can't work remote there, so I have no service. So I actually sent my little PTO email today. I was like, just so you all know, like, I won't be there, I won't have service, but, like, if I do, I'll check Teams if anything goes wrong. But I'm like, will I? No. I'm like, it's all, like, fluff. I'm like, come on. Will anything go crazy that I'm needed for? No. So yeah, but how's your week? Tell us all about it.
My week has been good. So I started this thing at work with, okay, so background, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like I think probably the week before the 4th of July, I didn't like freak out with my boss, but he was like talking about giving me another project, and I took this personality test like in the first few weeks of being at my new company, and one of my like weaknesses is that I am too optimistic, and then I'll just like say yes, and it's a weakness because that like people of my personality type will just keep saying yes, and then they like can't get it all done, and it happened to me. And he like was like, oh, okay, what about another project? And I was like, oh, sure, put another one on my back, like no problem, I'll carry the team, sure thing, boss. And then like I came back into his office like the next day, and I was like, so I gave it a little bit more thought, and I don't think I'm ready for another project. So we were like, okay, like how do we fix this? Like how can I like utilize my time better at work? So what I started doing are two things. First, I started blocking time on my schedule 2 weeks in advance. And I think we did talk about this in a different podcast episode, but just making like an hour at least every day that says work time. And if someone has to schedule a meeting over it, no problem, but at least then I know that like I have at least an hour a day to get work done. And then the second thing I've been doing is I made this little Excel spreadsheet, and it has like the task, and then it has key stakeholders, the priority, I think, is next. Key stakeholders, priority, so like high, medium, or low priority. What it affects, so like if somebody is waiting on me to do their task, then that's going to be like a higher priority. If it's something that like is just more independent, it's going to be lower priority. How the duration for how long I think it's going to take, and then actual finish date. And this has just been amazing. You know how I am with like gathering personal data. So I've been doing this for like 2 weeks now, and I'm like, holy crap, look at all the tasks I'm getting done. And then I can like actually show my boss like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on today, all these, and I can filter it. Oh, I had a field day with Excel. I made it so you can filter it by date. So like every day that I get into work, I will open this little Excel sheet and I filter it for that day. And I make sure that like by the end of that work day, everything that I had set for the due date of that day, I got done. If I didn't get it done, that's okay, because I made a second tab called On-Time Delivery, where I'm going to be every month like reflecting and looking back and doing like an percentage of things that I completed on time versus things that I did not complete on time. And the reason that I did that is because like I have always struggled with like end of the year, what are they called? End of the year reviews. Yes, exactly. End of the year reviews. And so I'm doing this to hopefully show that like I can get at least 90 to hopefully 100% of my tasks done on time. And then another thing that I'm doing, one last thing that I'm doing with this spreadsheet is when I get something done, I have a column that says value add, and I'm like thinking like, okay, everything, and I will even add tasks like if I think of like, oh, follow up with this person, I will add like follow up with this person about this thing, and then I'll put like the value add. So like what was the value add? Well, maybe I needed to help them like align on their priorities because they have a lot on their plate. So like I'm providing clarity for them, or like maybe I had to get the team together, or maybe I had to build a schedule to like, so like I'm doing all these things and I just feel so more productive at work. I don't know if you have ever tried task tracking at work, but this is a first for me.
Yeah, so I do something similar, but I use OneNote. So I basically set up like the whole week, and it's like Monday through Friday, and then I list out like even if it's like the week before, I kind of have these set up. So I'm like, okay, on Monday I need to follow up with this person, but I don't have it as fancy as you. I'm like, not with the analytics, but I just like cross it out, and like it's just so satisfying. Just delete it. But look at you. I feel like you are talking. You're like so much more relieved.
I feel better. I feel so much better. Yeah, that's good. I feel so much better. And I had a one-on-one with the mentor that is a girl today. And I told her, I was like, we're feeling good. And she was like, you're not being a silent sufferer anymore. And I was like, no, we got it under control. And she's like, okay, good. Like, and I like it because before, like I was still doing things every day, but I was getting things done. I think that my boss maybe thought like we're not as high priority, if that makes sense. Like I was like, oh, this is the next thing I'm going to work on. But in his mind, he was like, oh, she should have been working on this. So now, like we have one-on-ones every other day, my boss and I. So I'll show him, I'll be like, okay, for this week, I'm going to get these things done in this order. Do you agree, or do you think I need to get some of these things like done sooner? And so I feel so much better about work.
Good. You can totally tell too.
Yeah. And then other than that, I also joined this new yoga studio, and I went to my first ever hot yoga class. Have you ever done a hot yoga class?
Yes, but in high school.
It is so hard. So this room, it's kind of cool. It's like all mirrors in this room. And she has like this infrared coil that goes around the ceiling, almost like the frat boy lights, like in a frat boy's room that like when it's hot, but it's like an infrared coil. And the room gets to 100 degrees. And it looked like I had just jumped in the lake when I was done with that class, but it was amazing. So I signed up again for this week, and I'm going to make Brett come because there were some men in the class too, and I was like, Brett, you won't feel alone. Like, you got to come try this because it's so hard, so I'm excited for that.
Amazing. Do you go in the morning or after work?
They have classes 7 days a week, and they have morning classes and afternoon classes, but I have been signing up for the Saturday mornings, and they're at, like, depending on the class, 7:30 or 9, but I talked to my boss, and I was like, so I know, like, I'm still relatively new, but what do you think about me maybe working from home for, like, a couple days? And this kind of ties into our episode, and I was telling him about this hot yoga, and it's so funny because he's, like, the complete opposite to me. He's, like, literally not like a brick wall, but he's like emotionless, and I'm sitting over there and I'm telling him about how I'm dripping in sweat and I'm doing this yoga class, and he's probably like, this girl is freaking weirdo. And so yeah, I might like start working from home in a few weeks, like on Fridays, so that I can attend the 6:30 class, and then I'll still be able to log on by 8, but stay tuned. I'm really, fingers crossed that works out and I'm able to start working from home at least one day a week and do that.
Amazing. We hope that you can do that, because I feel like nowadays if a company doesn't compensate for that or like doesn't take that into consideration, I don't know, I feel like there are so many companies that are doing that. I'm like, come on, we are progressing.
I know.
We can do work at home.
And actually, like, my boss and then my boss's boss are very open about work from home, so that's good. And a lot of, like, people in my role do work from home, like, at least once or twice a week. So I'm like, okay, hopefully, like, once I put, like, maybe, I'm thinking once I'm at, like, 4 or 5 months into my job, then I'll feel, like, comfortable. I think it's just, like, a comfortability thing. And I'll start working from home.
Exciting.
I know.
And the website's up?
Oh, my God, another update. I'm just so chatty today. I finally got the freaking website up. I was so happy when I did it. I, like, showed Brett. I was like, look, Brett, I did it, woohoo! Because, and he was like, oh, thank God. Because there would be so many times when I was working on this, and I would get frustrated, and I would just be sitting in, like, this room being like, why isn't this working? And he's like, it's a website? Calm down.
That's so funny. It looks amazing. Go check it out. Where can they find it?
Yes, I'll put it in the show notes, but it's just libbybeyondthelabel.com. And yeah, I'm excited I want to like maybe dabble in like doing a blog. I put like a page up for the podcast, and
nice.
So yeah, like another, this like is going to go perfectly with what we want to talk about today, but like another little passion project that glad to see cross the finish line.
Amazing. I know. We were talking about it earlier before like we started recording. We have so many ideas for the podcast, but it's like, it's just so much going on.
They just take so much time.
I know, they do. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, should we get into tea of the week of our listeners?
Perfect, yes. So, I have one from Rachel, and she said she passed her PE exam after the 3rd attempt. Amazing! Congratulations!
That's fantastic. I have an anonymous submission, and she says, had an amazing interview for my dream job, hoping to find out soon. That is so exciting, and hopefully we can learn more about it, and fingers crossed you get the job.
And then we have one last one. I'm not quite sure what the username is. DL. I'm going to botch it. So we have another submission. And she said, a senior manager at my job accidentally screen shared while pulling up NSFW female photos today, which is, and Libby taught me, NSFW is not safe for work.
That is so scolding hot tea.
That is crazy. Can you imagine? Like,
What would happen? Like, what would happen next? Like, would you?
I know.
Would this be a giant HR case? Like, I would imagine. Like, does he get fired?
100%.
Like, what happens?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because we have to. Maybe we should reply and be like, let us know what happens.
Yeah.
Because that is crazy. And like every time I screen share, like I make sure everything is closed out. Like even my sticky notes with my regular notes, like of what I have to do, like everything's X'd out. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe senior manager got a little sloppy there.
One time, this is like not really the same, but kind of, in one of our like very important meetings with like the VP, some guy, these are like, the ones that are really early in the morning, some guy was called in on his phone, and he accidentally had his video on, and he was taking a shower. And like I'm thinking like his towel was over the camera, but like the whole time you could kind of like see a shower background. We were all like, what's going on? But nobody said anything. And then his face came up, and like you could tell like his chest, and he was wet. And like one of the like important people in the room was like, hey, your camera's on. And he was like, oh, sorry guys.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. That scares me. I have like a little screen on my work laptop that you can like pull, and it's like covers the camera, so I always have that on.
Oh,
so like
that's
if I always get a random call, like I always have to like open it, and I always forget. It's funny. But then I also have my background like blocked out now, because I know we talked about like how people always make comments about like what the background is.
What's going on?
Oh, I love how this update is 20 minutes, but real quick, I had my background like a fake background, and it was like some apartment, probably like a General Teams one that everyone has, and then some girl made a comment again, she's like, oh, is that a real background or is that like a fake one? And I was like, this is so weird. I was like, why does it matter? Commenting? Yeah, and I'm like, no, this is a like a Teams one, but I'm like, I thought this would I'm like, everyone knows it's a fake one. I was like, I thought this would mitigate the amount of comments I get, but whatever. I digress, but.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny. Well, if you guys want to join in on Tea of the Week, we post a question box before we record these episodes. So if you want to participate, be sure you're following our Instagram at My Best Friend's Engineer. And I think with that, we can probably get into today's topics.
Yes. Okay. So I know that we wanted to start with, an engineering school. I feel like they're pretty straightforward though. Nothing too crazy. But would you like to take it away with freshman to sophomore year? What you should... Oh, actually, I want to start with the summer going into your freshman year.
Okay.
Because...
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even write that down on our little outline.
Because if I could go back, I would take, like, classes at my community college that would transfer over. Like, I had so much fun, like, the summer, because it was, like, after high school and everything. I would take at least one class, like, maybe physics or something to just get ahead for the semester. And, like, no one tells you about transferology. No one tells you about, like, the credits transferring until you're in school. I would tell myself, take some easy ones, lighten up your schedule so you can actually, like, enjoy. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy freshman year, but I think it would have made it easier. So that's my 2 cents on that.
That's a good tip. Or, like, another one you could probably take is, like, economics, like, intro to economics.
Yeah.
Totally could take that one, too.
Exactly. Yeah. So either if it's with your school, maybe look into it. I know it's pretty expensive if you're out of state, especially for taking stuff that's outside of the actual semester, or just look at your community college, see what might transfer over, maybe talk to your school and talk about that, because they don't want to tell you that, because they want your money. They want you to take a class at your school. So that is my 2 cents. So and have so much fun while you're doing it. Go to all the little events that everyone, all the graduation parties. Go to that, but try and do at least, like, I don't know. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that is such a good tip. And I mean, I know that, like, even when I was in school one summer, I think it was maybe sophomore summer or something, I took a calculus class at Marquette. And so I got in-state tuition for the calculus class versus, like, getting out-of-state tuition because we went to school in Ohio. And then I was able to transfer the credit. So, like, it ended up being cheaper than if I were to take it during the school year. But maybe, I don't know, expensive because you have to take it in the summer. But yeah, definitely try to take classes in the summer leading up to freshman year.
Okay, now we can get into freshman year.
Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do, like, each summer. So this will be tips for freshman year going into sophomore year. So I think this is another like time in your life where you can definitely enjoy your summer. Like I don't really think you need to be stressed. Like you have so much time. I know when I was summer of freshman year going into sophomore year, I think I just had like a summer job. I was a waitress, just saved some extra cash so that, you know, I could have fun during the summer, but also save some for the school year. What do you think, Lexi, about freshman year to sophomore year summer? It's like a tongue twister. Freshman year to sophomore year summer.
Yeah, so me being the type A personality, I was looking for internships and like trying to find something, but the thing is, first of all, they're not going to hire you because you're a freshman. You don't really have that much experience. And second, the place that I did get an interview for, it was literally just like a warehouse, like moving boxes around. Like it wasn't like an engineering internship, so that's where they got you. They just wanted someone that would be able to like, and I was like, I cannot lift boxes. I was like, I am just weak in itself. So that's the catch. So like if you are like freaked out about it, like I totally agree with Libby's point. You don't need to stress out, and a lot of these companies aren't really looking for freshman year people. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. That's my experience. And then I don't know. For my last interview, I don't know if Susan mentioned that she started at NASA her freshman year. I wish I could go back and
I don't remember.
But if you are interested, I guess freshman year, try to look for these types of programs that would keep bringing you back. I guess like
a rotational program or a
something.
Development program. Yeah.
So, but again, I completely agree. I think I worked at Nordstrom for the discount, so I had a splendid time. I loved it because you got all like the retail gossip and like it was so much fun. But
I think too, like if you are stressed about career type things, even though we're telling you shouldn't be, but if you are, I think other things that you can do to be productive in spending your summer is trying to learn like softwares that might be used in the industry that you're trying to go into. So I know that when I was a freshman, I didn't know what kind of software was used in industry. I just knew that like my school used what did we use? Inventor for like the 3D modeling software. But I'd recommend just going on LinkedIn and just literally type in engineer and like your hometown and start, looking through some of those job postings, see if you can find a software that is listed multiple times and then maybe take it upon yourself to try to learn it over the summer. But one kind of like caution with that is a lot of softwares, like you get them through work because the company has like a paid license or something. So you might not be able to learn all of them, but I don't know, could just be another tip if you are kind of stressed about career things.
Definitely, and that's a good point about LinkedIn because they have the LinkedIn Learning. So I have, of course, my little premium LinkedIn, which I love. I got it like at 50% off, and I think it's still 50% off. I got it like when COVID was happening, and I was like, let me do it. Because I was like job searching. And you get it, so $30 a month, and you get all of these different classes, like whether it's public speaking, whether it's coding, whether it's, setting up a meeting, using all this other, other various things in the workforce. So I recommend that. And then I see Libby has listed a few softwares here, which is very helpful. I don't know if you want to read them out.
Yeah, so just a few that I thought off the top of my head that I've seen in industry. And this is from a mechanical engineering perspective. Microsoft Project, Oracle, Team Center, Minitab, AutoCAD, Onshape, and Creo. Another thing that you could do is check out Skillshare. I don't know if there are many like engineering type courses, but Skillshare is basically a website where you can go type in something you want to learn and then a bunch of courses pop up. So I'm sure if you wanted to learn, for example, how to get better at Excel or how to get better at Microsoft Project, I'm sure there are courses on Skillshare to learn how to do that.
Definitely. And I know that Kat Voltage, when we interviewed her, she talks about how she wasn't able to get an internship, but then she was focused on learning these different softwares. So again, another advocate for kind of being proactive if you are really stressed about not having anything. And then Libby also wrote in our little outline of summer camps that you can attend. And I totally agree with this, but the one caveat I would say is that they're so expensive. I feel like those are like... Yeah, I feel like the classes that I've looked at and like all those stuff, it's just so expensive. But I mean, I'm sure it's worth it. Like, I'm sure you learn a lot, and it's probably way more structured than these, like, LinkedIn classes. But, like, my friend, he did one at Northwestern, like, little finance one. It was, like, $12,000 for, like, 8 weeks.
Oh, my God, that's rude. What the heck?
I know. Yeah. How rude of them. I'm like, do I get a Northwestern degree? Like,
do you get, like, a souvenir shirt or something? Like, I hope so.
Right? Yeah, so, but I think that's definitely a good idea. And maybe, another good thing that I just thought of is if your school has any scholarships to send students to those, because they love doing that, They have, I wouldn't say they have money to blow, but they do have some money allocated for these types of situations. So I would also reach out to your school, maybe like financial center, maybe like your engineering school in general, and see if there's something that you can fill out that will give you some funding for that.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can probably move into fast forward 1 year, summer of sophomore year going into junior year. Do you want to start off with your tips that you might have?
Yes, so I'm just trying to think for my sophomore to junior year. I feel like I had the option to stay and do research at school, or I did an internship. So I did the internship. Again, the funding was very low for that. Again, like it was like a startup. Mm-hmm. A lot of these bigger companies, they weren't looking for sophomore year students. And I know it's very different versus like software engineering, because I feel like they recruit them really young. But for chemical, I feel like that was the opposite of my experience. Like chemical, biomedical field, they just did not want young little students. And I was like, why not? So take me. I'm ready to do your work. But, yeah. And then, and I actually went to a dinner with my boyfriend's family yesterday, or 2 days ago. And his sister is in engineering school. And I told her, I said, if I could go back, I would study abroad my sophomore year.
Yes.
Because they had a Europe program. Yeah. And I wish I did that. I think maybe having the sophomore internship helped me a little bit getting my junior year internship. But again, they're more open to hiring people junior year, so I don't know if that made that much of a difference. But that's just my 2 cents. How about you?
I didn't even think about the study abroad portion. That is one of my biggest regrets of college, is not studying abroad. And I think that it definitely is possible if you are an engineering student, if you start planning for it freshman year. I went into college so just my head was in the clouds. I feel like I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a role model to look up to who had gone through the engineering curriculum. I didn't have my parents weren't engineers, so they didn't really know. So if you are listening to this and you are a freshman or going into college, please plan, if you are able to try to study abroad. And like we touched on with scholarships, there are so many scholarships that you can apply for to make it possible. Another thing that I regret that I wish I would have done sophomore year was research. So I formed a really good relationship with one of my professors, unfortunately a little bit too late, and he offered me a position to do research with him, but I had already accepted an internship, and this was my summer going in from senior year going into my 5th year. So a little bit different scenario, but still I would try to focus your freshman year and sophomore year on forming those relationships with professors, find the ones that you like, and if there is an opportunity for you to do research with them, 100% do something like that your sophomore year. And again, like you mentioned, Lexi, you can find an internship, but it's not the end of the world if you don't find one.
Definitely. Yeah, I one of the main reasons I didn't do my research was the fact that I would have to be on campus. And I just remember I was just in a little rut, sophomore year. I was I want to get home. I don't know. I was I did not want to spend the summer there. I was I don't want to pursue research anyway. But I don't know. Looking back, I think they got a lot of funding from that summer of research. So I might change my decisions now, but hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's anything else we have for sophomore to junior year.
Yeah. Well, you have here, find an environment that's relevant to your degree to volunteer at. So, for example, volunteering at a hospital, that helps with the medical device. Because then, or even shadowing, I saw a resume, someone asked me to review their resume, and they said that they shadowed at a, orthopedic surgeon, and they wanted to get into prosthetics. Oh my god, that's a tongue twister.
That is a tongue twister.
So, I mean, you can play it in a way that, you know, it's obviously shadowing, you're not doing too much, but you can show that you are exposed with some of the, like, verbiage and kind of, like, the practices in industry. Oh my god, I can't talk. Maybe I do need coffee.
Okay, and another thing about that, we talk about this all the time on this podcast. Spin it like a spinning top, you know, like on your, you can put that on your resume. You can put that experience on your resume. You just have to figure out how to use the right words, the right verbiage to show that you did in fact get that experience during that shadowing experience. So I love that advice as well.
Yes. Okay. So I think that's it.
I think that's it for that summer.
All right, and now we are off to junior year to senior year. What do you think? What are you thinking about that summer?
Junior year to senior year is internship time. I think that on this podcast, I am taking the stance that you should very, very, very much, in fact, do your hardest, try your best to try to find an internship. I've had a few people DM me on Instagram like, oh, I'm trying to find an internship and I just can't get one. Be open to co-ops, okay? I know it kind of sucks to leave for a semester of school, but that's what I did. I couldn't find an internship, started applying to co-ops, got the opportunity. Oh, it sucked in the moment. I had so much FOMO doing a co-op, but looking back, that is probably the best thing I ever did for my career, because by the time I had to apply for the real world, I had almost a year's worth of experience. So definitely try to find an internship. What are your thoughts on that, Lexi?
Yes, I completely agree, but I feel like we already touched on that. We're just two psycho type A's.
I know.
We're like freaking out. But and then again, okay, I don't want to keep taking credit for Libby's like outline notes, but Libby has here do a personal project that relates directly to real world experience, which I completely agree, and that's something I touched on again when I was reviewing that one resume with the shadowing experience. I was asking her, I said, okay, well, you have your master's, let's talk about a thesis project, like, you know, because the shadowing was kind of like the main part of the resume, and I'm like, okay, but is there something else that you did that you could talk about even in a class? So I think if you do a project during the summer, I think that shows much more dedication to, first of all, your degree and taking the time to actually do it during the summer versus doing it specifically for a course. So I think that's a good way to kind of mitigate the stress of not having one.
Yeah, and maybe we even could do like an episode on here all about like key milestones or key terms used in industry, but just some things that I thought off the top of my head, you know, let's paint the picture here. Let's do the scenario. So a personal project, maybe you use like one of those little strawberry jam boards or whatever it's called, and you build a robot, code the robot. Okay, so that's a great personal project. What can you do that can relate it to industry? Well, you can build a bill of materials. That is something that is definitely relevant no matter what job you're in, no matter what industry. Everybody cares about how much cost something is going to be. You could build out a schedule. How could you do that? Okay, well, how long is it going to take you to code the robot? How long is it going to take you to procure materials? How long is it going to take you to manufacture or like put the robot together? So like, again, going back to the spinning thing, think of ways that you can like fit, you know, your personal project into these different like corporate buckets.
Yes, love that. And then again, professors are always willing to work with you, try and help you in some way. So maybe it's, you know, someone asking you to TA or asking for just volunteer help, maybe in the classroom. That is also a way to do it. And then you get a good rec letter.
There's so many ways that you can continue to get experience even if you can't get an internship. Even though I'm taking the stance you definitely should get an internship, but we're trying to provide options for everybody.
Yes. As always, we are so inclusive.
That's right. Okay, finally, we're making our way down memory lane. We're in our last summer of college.
Oh wait, I wanted to talk about one more thing. So
do one more thing for junior to senior year.
Yeah. So I know, tongue twister, right? So basically, the scope of this. Oh my god, look at me sounding so unengineered. So the purpose of this episode is to basically talk about how to enjoy your summer. So again, if you do have an internship, that is what we'll kind of touch on when we go to like the workforce.
That's so true.
Part of this. So I just wanted to touch on that. So yes, that's all I had to say.
That's all we have to say. Okay, we're gonna give corporate type tips in the corporate portion.
Yes. So now we're off to senior year. We are graduating. We're enjoying it. What should we do then, Libby?
Okay, so
Tell us.
So I think there's kind of like two different ways you can look at it. When I graduated, I kind of took the stance of, oh my god, I want to start making that big girl money ASAP. I'm going to apply for a job, and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to start working 1 week after graduation. And I gave myself like no break. But I think looking back, if I could do it again, I wish I would have taken that time, like maybe taken a month or 2 months. I know not everybody can afford to do that. It just depends on your situation. But I wish I would have just like chilled out, because you have the rest of your life to work, and you're never ever going to get again a time in your life where you can just enjoy your summer without having to take PTO. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing I want to touch on, like taking that break right out of school, I think that looks a little better. I'm not trying to stress anyone out, like with any gaps in between positions, but I think that's less questionable. I think employers are more likely to question, oh, okay, well, you worked here and then you took 2 months off and now you have a new job. So you can obviously like say, oh, I was trying to find a job and that's how long the process took. But I feel like the gap is more of a question between the jobs. So I completely agree with that. Like I had 2.5 months of unemployment. It was the best time of my life. I don't want to push anyone to, be unemployed or anything, but it was so fun. Like it was like a nice healing summer. I hung out with all my friends from high school. Everyone just wasn't working. It was just literally so fun. I'm like smiling just thinking about that. And
I feel like in this day and age,
I'm working.
I feel like in this day and age, like if you then are going, so say you graduate in May, and you're then going to go start applying for jobs, and you are interviewing in like late July, August time frame. If somebody asks you like, oh, why didn't you get a job right away? I feel like in this day and age, if you just say, hey, mental health, man, I wanted to enjoy my life while I'm young, an employer is going to be like, hey, I respect that, like, I don't know, like, obviously keep it professional, maybe don't say it so lax how I just said it, but, like, times are a-changin'.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. It's crazy. Like, my mom keeps telling me, she's like, you guys don't know how it was. I was like, well, I did have an internship during, like, regular times, and I was like, I saw how it was. I was like, oh my god, this is depressing.
It's depressing.
I was like, I know we're so lucky. I'm not even gonna deny that. Like, this is just a different world. But yes, so basically enjoy, live at home. We love to push that.
Yeah,
I
live
had
at home.
So much fun. Everyone's like, oh my god.
Well, no, you can. It sucks in the moment.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it sucks. It's gonna suck in the moment, probably. Like, I know my sister just graduated college, and she's going through that right now. She lives at home, and she is trying to move out so bad. And I'm like, stop! Like, I want to strangle her. I'm like, you need to just live at home for like 1 or 2 years. You will thank me. And she's like, I want to get out of here. And I'm like, oh my god, no, live at home. Like, listen to us. If you're listening to this podcast, live at home.
I know, and I know that we wanted to talk, so we were talking, like, briefly about, like, maybe doing a Patreon and talking about, like, more personal topics versus, like, STEM-related topics. I would love to talk about the transition from going to school, you're a big hotshot, you're a senior, you have an engineering degree, boom, I live in my mother's house again. Like, I
asked permission to go out.
That. Yeah, it was an insane transition, and I know it's not really, like, within, like, what we're trying to do with this podcast, but again, like I talked about, it would be so fun to do like a side episode or something. But I know it sucks, but again, we love it. And Break Your Budget, she also promotes that, so.
True. I don't know what, I think that was maybe episode 24 or 25, but we had a personal finance expert on to talk about what to do with your big girl engineering job, and she also recommended to live at home. So I think on that note, maybe this is a good transition to kind of start talking about now what happens when you actually do enter corporate. How the heck are you supposed to enjoy your summer? Lexi, what do you think? How do you enjoy your summer when you're working 40 plus hours a week?
Yes, so I wanted to talk about like in office, because I had a summer of in office, and then I also had a summer of remote, which is what I'm currently doing. So in office, I feel like the most basic ways that I, tried to enjoy the weather, because it was depressing. Like the front, like the first floor or second floor that I was on, they had no windows. They had a skylight, so we would see when it's raining. But like because of manufacturing, like you can't really have those windows. It obviously messes up the temperature. It's temperature controlled, so it was just really depressing. And we would just, I had a mentor who was a year older than me. We would always do our one-on-ones every week and just walk around the whole facility. Lunch, just walk around, even just a minor break. Like I'd call my mom whenever I could and just take a walk. So I feel like that's just such a basic thing. Everyone's like, oh yeah, of course. But I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you don't really think about that. You're focused on your work, and then if you like allocate some time, I think you're just so much more refreshed after.
Yeah, I think if you are stuck in an office this summer, as many people are, do the walking. I mean, just the other day I took a break. Like, and if you think about it, like you need breaks from work. So I got up and I just took a 10-minute break and I walked around the building and I came back and I was like, okay, I'm ready to start my next task. So definitely take walking breaks. Another thing you can do is maybe start eating lunch outside. That's what I do a lot. That is something that I've liked doing that is way different in my new job. Everybody is around the same age, and we all go sit outside and eat lunch together, and sometimes people will bring, like, footballs out and just, like, throw a ball around. Like, that is a great way to enjoy the weather while you are inside all day.
Definitely. And now that I am remote, I work outside like for the whole morning. Whenever it's like not hot enough, I take my little laptop. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can't work without the monitors. I'm like, well, it's like you pick and you choose. I'm like, you know what, I can just get what I need done on one screen, and I just sit outside, and it's just the most enjoyable time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do when I worked from home. And if you are working from home, I definitely recommend working outside whenever you can. One last thing I wanted to touch on, if you are still working in the office this summer, is have a conversation with your boss to see if you can do summer Fridays. I know that this isn't going to work at every single job. I don't personally do this at my job currently, but at my previous job, when we were in the office, we had summer Fridays where you could either work 4 10-hour days throughout the week and then have Friday completely off every week, or you could do 4 9-hour days and then do a half day on Friday. And you just had to have that conversation with your boss ahead of time, and then like you had a deadline for whenever that ended. So yeah, look into that too. And if it doesn't exist at your company, maybe try starting it.
I know. I feel like that's such a weird topic. People are always like we were going to a concert last Friday, and so I just needed to leave a little bit earlier. So I talked to my boss, and I was like hyping myself up because I was like, oh my god, what if he thinks I want to slack? But we have this thing where you can take off if it's like 3 hours. If it's more than 3 hours, then you would have to consider taking your PTO. So I feel like at my current company, summer Fridays are unfortunately not a big thing. But again, working remote kind of makes it easier. But when I interned, no one was there on Friday. So again, it matters on the company, but it's all about how you do it. Or how you spin it, or how you approach it, I guess, with your manager. Like, you don't want to approach it in a way where you're like, okay, I want to slack, or
right.
You just need to make it clear. Like, I will put in the work and I'll get everything done previously throughout the week, but like, why would I, need to come in for a full day if I can get it done? So, yes, big advocate for that.
Exactly. Okay, how do we have fun, Lexi, if we're working from home this summer?
If you're working from home, so like I said, do your little work outside, I do a lunch walk. Sometimes I go and buy lunch, like just to leave the house. And then again, I know we touched on this in a previous episode, I try to set aside errands for the week to get myself out of the house, because if I don't need to go out to the site, it just gets lonely.
You get
like,
up.
I was like, yeah, okay. And a side note, so I don't know if you guys know what Be Real is. I don't know if you know what Be Real is.
No, okay, I need to download this because another friend showed it to me, and I think it's so funny.
Yeah, so basically I have a old coworker, and so he posted, like, a Be Real, it was like lunchtime. So I posted mine, I was obviously working out in my backyard alone, and then he posted it with like 4 different coworkers. They were eating lunch outside, and I was like, okay, I missed that camaraderie. Like and I just didn't realize it today. It like hit me. I was like, oh my god, I just talked to my mom all day. But I digress. So basically, to mitigate that, I just try to do like all the errands, just get outside. Like today I'll do Pilates, and just to do something, because I could totally see myself just sitting doing nothing. But those are my tips for work from home.
Yeah, that is something. You said you just wanted to get out and do something. When I worked from home and it was nice out, I would do like YouTube workouts on my lunch break, and I would do them outside, and I would just bring my little yoga mat out there, my little 5-pound and 3-pounders, and I would just do like a little YouTube workout. Another thing that I did, and this isn't particularly summer related, but I always would take showers when I worked from home on my lunch break, because then I felt like it like restarted my day. Like, I don't know, I felt like after I showered, then the afternoon it was like, oh, I'm starting over. So yeah, I would do that. Other things that I did, use your lunch break basically to do things during the summer that like you might otherwise not get to do if you're in office. Like when I worked from home, I would take my last meeting for the morning at the pool, and then I would take my lunch break at the pool, and I'd read by the pool, and then I would take my first meeting of the afternoon by the pool, and then look at that, I just spent 2 hours at the pool on my day.
I totally agree. I love doing things during my lunch break, so either I walk or I just try to hit the gym. And like, again, the shower, I love the midday shower. Huge advocate. Love that.
Let's see. Do you have any other tips for like work related?
Sorry, this is what I was trying to say.
Get into it.
Get into it. So, going off your comment about utilizing and using your lunch break, so another option, this is kind of similar to the Summer Fridays, you can ask your boss if you can work through your lunch, and then maybe you can leave at 4 if you log on at 8.
So true.
I think so. My manager does that, and then we have someone else that either logs on early and he logs off at 4. So I would totally recommend kind of doing that, because you have so much more sunlight, and going off that, there is more sunlight during the summer, obviously. But when I was in the office, we would always usually do something with the team. Like, we'd always go somewhere after, like, grab dinner or, like... And it worked out because I had a young team, so I know some people are probably listening to this and being like, I can't imagine going to happy hour with my... But it worked out. So maybe if you have someone, maybe it's a different department. I like setting up... Again, it kind of aligns with, like, the remote trend of, like, trying to do stuff during the week instead of just coming home and just, watching TikTok or Netflix. But
yeah, I do that with my coworkers now, and it's kind of funny. We do like a monthly, the project engineers meet at this bar near our work, and we call it a round table, and that's on our calendars as a round table, and we just meet at a bar once a month.
Cute.
Yeah, so there's that. I just did it where I thought of something I wanted to say and then I blanked.
I know, isn't that the worst?
My mind is just moving a mile a minute with this topic. I feel like I have so many things to say. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Other things that you can do to, like, kind of break up the work day or the work week and still be doing things outside. Honestly, any activities related to outside, but just a few things that I had in mind, like start a hobby or start a garden. So, like, I have a garden. All my plants are dying because I'm terrible at keeping them alive, but at least I pretend, and I come home and I water them after work. That's, like, a good thing to get me outside. On Wednesdays, I golf. I'm deciding I need to trademark that saying because I say it so much. On Wednesdays, we golf, and that's just an activity that I do with my mom. I joined a local women's golf league, and that's just, like, another activity that gets me outside. So, moral of this advice is if you can find like activities that you can build into your week, like joining a volleyball league or an ultimate frisbee league. I don't know what you guys do. I don't know what your prerogative is, as Eli Rello would say. Find things outside that can get you outside for each day of the week.
Definitely. I love that you mentioned the plants thing because Libby was like, I'll log on in a second. I'm watering my plants. I was like so grown up. I love that though. My garden, my mom's garden, I guess, outside, like our family garden is dying. Everyone just forgot about it this year. We try. We always try.
I try.
But, and it's so funny because in our last episode with Susan, we talked about how bad we are with plants.
I'm so bad. Brett literally bought me... How rude. Sweet. But he bought me this book, How to Raise a Plant and Make It Love You Back. He put this on my desk one day, and he called me, and he's like, did you see the present I got you? And I was like, is this supposed to be a sign that I'm bad at taking care of our garden? And he's
That's
like, well,
so funny.
You are.
Okay, come on, Brad. Why don't you water the flowers? Come
I know,
on.
right? Come on.
That's so funny. But yeah, and then going off of that, the volleyball league, so So I don't live in the city, but there is something, it's like every Wednesday or Thursday, all the people that live in the city that I know, they do like a little volleyball league. So that is a very, very popular thing that I've been seeing. And softball too. You do softball.
I did softball one summer. I haven't done it since. But volleyball is good. Softball. Another league that is close, that is around my area, is people do a bags league at one of the local bars, which like bags or cornhole, you know. That's a good one. So yeah, just moral of the story: anything that you can get you outside. Any other advice for things that you can, like, I think the other one that I had in mind was, like, book travel if you can, and think about that, like, maybe a year in advance. So, like, start booking your 2023 travel plans now so you can start, like, saving, because that gives you, I think you mentioned it before, Lexi, like, travel gives you something to look forward to, and that, like, always helps when you're in corporate.
Yes, I completely agree, and I am a huge advocate for that. Like, I'm so excited for this trip. Like, but then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be so sad when I come back.
Aww.
Like, look at me already being so sad. And so I already scheduled, like, we have some things scheduled in the fall with me and my friends. So that'll be fun. But I'm like, okay, and then in August, I'll probably be up at the lake a little bit. So I'm like, okay, get over it, girl. But I love that. That's a good idea.
I think the only other thing that I had for advice for, like, how to enjoy your summer, this can kind of tie into, too, if you just got a new job in a city that you're not familiar with, but don't sleep on Facebook groups, okay? Go join Facebook groups. Literally, speaking of Facebook groups, we have a podcast Facebook group that you can join, but lately I feel like it has been so trendy for, like, Facebook communities. They're popping up everywhere, like, a girl that I follow on TikTok, her handle is at Kira Kirk, but she was on Good Morning America because she started a Facebook group called Girls Who Walk, and Good Morning America literally took her, like, TikToks, and the Good Morning America thing was like the hottest summer workout.
Amazing. That'll be us with our little STEM group one day. We have a Facebook group. Oh, you already mentioned that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Look at us, just trying to plug it. We're trying to
join the Facebook
group. This little That's so funny. What was I literally going to say? Why have I been, like, such, like, in a little fog?
I don't know.
We both have been doing that, if you guys are listening.
The only other thing I could say about the Facebook groups is, obviously, I can't say join a Facebook group without giving a little safety disclaimer. If you do join something like Girls Who Walk, and it's like a group where a bunch of people meet up at a public place to go on a walk together, do it with safety. If you're going alone, tell somebody that you're going and say, like, if I don't call you by this time, worry about me or something. Like, don't just go out and about on your own. But I don't know, you know, maybe do that if you want. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep your best interests in mind. Okay, people?
Do that if you want. That's so funny. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have. I would love to hear any of your tips, because I feel like we learn so much when we, like, our followers kind of message us like, oh, we do this, or like, oh, you know, I suggest this. And I feel like we are both at our companies, like, I don't know, we've both been at 2 companies. We don't have too much, like, other outside experience. So if you have any other suggestions, maybe something we didn't hit on, please let us know. I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, and let us know. A great way to let us know is by leaving us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast. You can leave us a written review and just give us your tips there. We are doing a giveaway where once we hit certain amount of reviews on Apple Podcasts, we're going to give away a $100 Visa gift card to one of you guys who entered. And all you have to do is take a screenshot of your review and submit it with our Google form. So, like Lexi mentioned, please give us more advice, or share this podcast episode on your Instagram stories and tell us what you do to, keep your summers fun, light, and flirty.
Amazing. And if anyone wants to tell you specifically what they do to keep their summers fun, flirty, and whatever else you just said, where can they find you?
You guys can go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at LoopyBeyondTheLabel. And then, Lexi, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Engineer Lexi, and I would love to hear any suggestions, because Pilates is getting kind of boring. Just kidding. It's not. I just started it. LOL.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
I know. I'm excited. I digress again, but I'm excited to get the unlimited membership because then I can go to like different studios.
Ooh.
I feel like I've been at the same one, and I don't want to get the unlimited until we're back from vacation. So
you need to change it up.
So I'll keep you guys updated.
You guys can follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at My Best Friends and Engineer.
Yes, and make sure to go check out our Instagram bio with all of those Facebook groups, those reviews, and then I think you were alluding to me saying the YouTube, which I totally forgot, which is BFE Podcast.
You saw my little cue there.
Yeah, and then I totally went the opposite way. I said, woo!
All right, I think
funny.
This was a good episode. I hope this was helpful for you guys listening to spice up your summer. I think we can close it out.
I think we can. All right. I'm Lexi.
I'm Libby.
And thanks for listening
to My Best Friends and
Engineer.
Woo!